One accidental night under the same roof turned my life upside down. I was 24, she was over 40, and by morning whispers had already labeled us lovers. What no one knew was how that night truly began and what it would cost us both. Hey there, my name is Callum. I am 24, a white bloke scraping by as a design intern in London. Life is pretty much a grind, long hours at a cramped office, a shoebox flat I can barely afford, and scraping together cash to send back home for my mom's medicines. She has been sick for years, and every month I wonder if I'm just spinning my wheels in this concrete jungle. But hey, that is the dream, right? Chasing something bigger in the capital that never quite sleeps. That night, though, the city was not sleeping. It was drowning, it was winter, and the rain was not messing about. It hammered down like it had a grudge against everything below, turning the streets into rivers and the pavements into slick traps. I had just finished my shift late, my thin jacket doing nothing against the wind, whipping through the alleys. My rucksack hung heavy on one shoulder, stuffed with sketches and a half eaten sandwich I had forgotten about. All I wanted was to get home, crash, and forget the day. I ducked into the lobby of my building, shaking off the water like a dog. The place was not fancy, just a block of flats in a decent neighborhood full of folks like me trying to make it. The lift hummed as I hit the button for my floor, but then bam! A crack of thunder shook the whole building. The lights flickered wildly, then plunged into darkness. The lift jerked to a stop midway between floors, the emergency buzzer blaring like a siren in my ears. Blimey, I muttered, jabbing the buttons. Nothing. The power was out and I was stuck. My phone had little battery left. Signal was spotty. I yelled for help, but the only response was the storm raging outside. Minutes dragged on, the air getting stuffier, my heart pounding from the claustrophobia creeping in. Finally, the emergency release kicked in or something. Maybe the backup generator sputtered to life just enough and the doors creaked open. But I was not on a floor, I was between them, staring at the stairwell access. I climbed out, heart racing, and headed down the dimly lit stairs, emergency lights flickering like they were about to give up too. The rain echoed through the concrete shaft, and cold air seeped in from cracked windows. That is when I saw her, Isla, my neighbor from upstairs. I had seen her around, maybe exchanged a nod or two in the lobby. She was 41, I guessed, always looking put together in her work clothes, carrying grocery bags or typing on her phone. We were not friends. Indeed, we were barely acquaintances, but there she was, stranded too, hauling two heavy bags up the stairs, her coat dripping. You all right? I called out, my voice echoing weirdly. She turned, startled, her face pale under the emergency glow. Yeah, just trying to get home. Power is out everywhere, it looks like. The lift is done for. I grabbed one of her bags without thinking, habit from helping my mum back home. Here, let me. She hesitated but nodded. Thanks. I am Isla, by the way, ninth floor. Callum, I said, hefting the bag. Seventh? Guess we are climbing together? We started up the stairs feeling endless in the dark. Thunder boomed again, shaking the walls, and rain slammed against the building like bullets. Halfway up, a gust of wind howled through a loose window, blasting us with icy spray. I shivered hard, teeth chattering. Isla noticed, pausing to shrug off her coat. Here, put this on, you are freezing. No, I cannot. You can, she insisted, draping it over my shoulders. It was warm from her body, smelling faintly of lavender and rain. I froze for a second, something stirring in my chest. Who does that for a stranger? But I mumbled thanks and we kept going. By the time we reached her floor, the storm was a monster, lightning flashing like strobes, thunder roaring non-stop. She fumbled with her keys, but the hallway was pitch black, emergency lights failing up here too. Blast, I cannot see a thing, she said, her voice tight. I pulled out my phone's torch, the beam shaky from my cold hands. She got the door open and we stumbled inside. Her flat was small but cozy. Bookshelves, a soft lamp that did not work without power, and a window overlooking the chaotic city below. Rain pelted the glass like it wanted in. Thanks for the help, she said, taking her coat back. You can wait here if you want until the power comes back. The stairs are a nightmare right now. I glanced outside. The storm was worsening. Sheets of water blurring the skyline. My floor was too far down, but climbing back in this, if it is not too much trouble. Not at all. She lit a couple of candles, the flames dancing shadows across the room. The air warmed a bit from the residual heat, and she boiled water on a gas stove for tea. Ginger scent filled the space, cutting through the chill. We sat on opposite ends of the sofa, a coffee table between us like a barrier. Silence stretched, broken only by the storm's fury. I sipped the tea, warmth spreading through me. This city can be brutal sometimes, I said just to fill the void. She nodded, staring at the window. Yeah, I thought after my divorce I would handle the alone parts better. But nights like this, they remind you. I looked at her, really looked. She had lines around her eyes from smiling or maybe from stress, but they made her real. Divorce, that sounds rough. It was. He left when I lost my job a few years back, said he could not handle the instability. Now I work late every night just to keep things steady for my daughter. She is away at university. Her voice cracked a little, but she straightened. What about you? Young bloke like you. Why London? I shrugged, the tea burning my tongue a bit. Chasing the design dream, but mostly sending money home. Mum's sick, cancer. I send what I can for treatments. Feels like I'm treading water here. She met my eyes, something softening in hers. That is heavy for 24. You are stronger than you think. We talked more, sporadic at first, then flowing. She shared about her daughter's texts, nagging her to rest. I opened up about the guilt of being far from home. The storm raged on, thunder shaking the building like it might collapse. The night wore on, power stayed out. She grabbed blankets, tossing one to me. You can crash on the sofa. I will take the chair. No way, I said. You take the sofa. I am fine. She shivered as another gust hit the window. I am used to the cold, but she was not. I saw her curl up, arms wrapped tight, eyes glistening in the candlelight. Minutes passed, the room growing colder, then softly. If just sitting closer for warmth, would that be weird? My heart slammed. The storm howled louder, lightning illuminating her face, vulnerable, real. I shifted nearer, our shoulders almost touching, no contact, but the heat between us built, chasing away the chill. Our breaths synced with the rain's rhythm, and in that moment, two strangers were not so strange anymore. The night stretched, thunder fading to a rumble, but the tension, the raw, unexpected connection hung thick, pulling us into something neither saw coming. The morning light filtered through the curtains like a hesitant intruder, pulling me out of a shallow sleep. I blinked awake on the sofa, the blanket tangled around my legs, the faint scent of ginger tea still hanging in the air. For a second, I forgot where I was. Then it hit me. Islas flat, the storm, the power outage, us sitting closer than strangers should, sharing warmth and stories in the candlelight. My heart skipped, but the room was quiet now, the rain reduced to a soft patter against the window. I sat up, rubbing my eyes. The power was back. The clock on the wall had reset itself. Isla was already in the kitchen, her back to me, pouring coffee into two mugs. She looked composed again, hair tied back, wearing a simple robe over her clothes from the night before. No sign of the vulnerability from hours ago. Morning, she said without turning, her voice steady but soft. Coffee? Yeah, thanks. I stood, folding the blanket awkwardly, feeling like an intruder in the daylight. We avoided each other's eyes as I took the mug, the steam rising between us like a barrier. Neither of us mentioned the night, the stories, the closeness, the way we had inched nearer. Without a word, it felt too raw, too exposed now that the storm had passed. I sipped the coffee, burning my tongue, and muttered, I should head out. Thanks for everything. She nodded, a small smile that did not reach her eyes. Anytime. Be safe out there. I grabbed my rucksack and slipped out the door, the hallway lights buzzing back to life. The building felt normal again, but as I descended the stairs, the lift still offline, I could not shake the weird buzz in my chest. What the hell was that? A one off act of kindness or something more? I pushed it down, focusing on the day ahead, work, emails, the grind. But normal did not last. By the time I reached the lobby, I felt eyes on me. Mrs. Hargrove, the nosy retiree from the third floor, was there collecting her post. She glanced up, her gaze lingering a beat too long, something sharp in it. I nodded politely and kept walking, but unease prickled my skin. Outside, the streets were slick with puddles, the city waking up like nothing had happened. I shook it off, headed to my place for a quick shower, and rushed to the office. Work was a blur, sketches, meetings, the usual. But later that day, my phone buzzed with a notification from the building's resident group chat. I rarely checked it, mostly complaints about rubbish or parking, but curiosity got me. The message was from an anonymous user, a blurry photo of me leaving Isla's door that morning. The caption read, "Late night visitor. Guess some people take neighborly help a bit far." Comments piled up fast. 24 and already playing house with the divorcee upstairs. Must be lonely up there on 9. Careful lad, she has got baggage. My stomach dropped. How? Who took that? I scrolled, heat rising in my face. More piled on. He is just an intern, probably looking for a sugar mummy. Women her age should know better. Desperate much. I turned off notifications, my hands shaking. This was nothing, nothing happened. We talked, shared a blanket, but in their eyes it was already twisted into something sleazy. I tried to focus on work, but the whispers in my head would not quit. By evening, I headed home, dread building. The lobby was empty, but as I waited for the lift, back online now, a couple from down the hall passed by. They glanced at me, then away, their conversation dipping to murmurs, paranoia maybe, but it felt real. Up on my floor, I paced my tiny flat, replaying the night. Should I text her, apologize, ignore it? That evening, I grabbed a coffee from the corner shop, black, no sugar, like she had made that morning, and stood outside her door, heart hammering. What if she blamed me? What if this ruined her reputation? I raised my hand to knock but froze. Voices echoed from the stairwell, neighbors chatting. I shoved the cup back in my bag and bolted, feeling like a coward. The next day it escalated. At work, a colleague, turns out he lived nearby, slapped my back with a grin. Heard you had a wild night in the storm, scoring with the hot neighbor upstairs. I laughed it off, but inside I seethed. Hot neighbor Ayla was not that. She was kind, strong, real, but the label stuck, reducing her to a punchline. I imagined what she was facing. Later that evening, I saw her in the lobby heading out with her bags. People went quiet, a deliberate hush. One woman smirked, whispering to her friend. Ayla kept her head high, but I caught the flicker in her eyes, hurt, exhaustion. She did not see me. I ducked into the shadows, guilt twisting my gut. That night, alone in my bed, I stared at the ceiling. We had done nothing wrong, so why did it feel like the world had already convicted us? Days blurred. The group chat blew up more. Anonymous jabs, memes, even Young Buck and the Cougar, classic London tale. I deleted the app, but the damage was done. Friends texted, probing with jokes. At the office, whispers followed. I avoided the lobby, taking the back entrance. And Isla, I did not see her. Her door stayed closed, lights dim. Part of me wanted to knock, explain, but what could I say? Sorry, the world is an ours. One evening I caved, typed a message, "Hey, about the other night, you alright?" Sent. No reply. Hours ticked by, nothing. I tossed my phone, frustration boiling. We were just neighbors helping each other, but in their eyes we were a scandal, and now that label was defining everything, pushing us apart before anything could even start. The days dragged on like a bad hangover. The whispers and stares lingered in every corner of the building. I could not shake the group chat poison. It replayed in my head during commutes, at my desk, even in the shower. Work became a refuge, burying myself in designs and deadlines. But even there, the city's gossip web felt inescapable. I would catch myself glancing at my phone, hoping for a reply from Isla. Nothing. Radio silence. Part of me wondered if she had blocked me or worse, if she regretted the whole night, but I could not just vanish. That felt wrong, like abandoning ship after one storm. So I stayed in my own quiet way. It started small, things no one would notice, or so I thought. One evening, I saw the hallway light on her floor flickering, about to burn out. I grabbed my toolkit from home, waited till late when the corridors were empty, and swapped the bulb. Quick job, in and out. The next night, her doorknob looked loose, probably from the wind rattling it during the outage. I tightened it with a screwdriver, heart pounding like I was committing a crime. Then on rainy evenings, I would spot her struggling with the rubbish bins downstairs. I would happen to be there, offering to push them to the curb. No big deal. I would mutter if our eyes met, then slip away before words could complicate it. She saw it all. I knew she did. Once, through her window blinds, I caught her silhouette pausing, watching me fix something in the hall, but she never acknowledged it. No thanks, no wave, I got it. Any contact would fuel the fire. The rumors were already ablaze. He is stalking her now, poor woman, probably scared to say no. I overheard snippets in the laundry room, felt eyes boring into my back at the postbox. It stung, but I kept going. These little acts were my way of saying, I am still here, not for the gossip, but for you. Then came the slip up that cracked everything wide open. It was a drizzly afternoon. I was heading back from lunch when I spotted Isla outside the building, caught without an umbrella as the sky opened up. She was juggling her phone and bags, rain soaking her coat. Without thinking, I dashed over, popping open my umbrella. Here, share this, I said, holding it over her as we walked the last block. She looked surprised but grateful, our arms brushing briefly. Thanks, Callum, you are a lifesaver. It was innocent. Two neighbors in the rain, but across the street, one of her co workers was grabbing coffee, phone in hand. Snap! The moment captured. The fallout hit her hard. The next day, she got hauled into her boss's office. Isla, we need to talk about your personal life, the manager said, sliding a printed screenshot across the desk. The photo of you under the umbrella is already circulating online with captions like age gap drama in the building. Her heart sank. Clients are noticing, he continued, voice laced with fake concern. We cannot have distractions affecting the firm's image. Keep it professional. No outright accusation, but the implication was clear. Her reputation was tainted and it could cost her job. She nodded, biting back tears, feeling exposed, judged for something that was not even real. Or was it? The night in her flat flashed back, the warmth, the confessions, but now it was warped into scandal. That evening I could not take the silence anymore. I baked some biscuits, lame I know, but it was all I had, and headed to her door, nerves buzzing. She opened it after the second knock, her eyes rimmed red, exhaustion etched into her face like she had aged a year overnight. Callum, she whispered, glancing down the hall like a fugitive. You should not be here. I brought these, I said, holding out the plate like a peace offering. Just wanted to check on you. She stepped aside, reluctantly letting me in. The flat felt different now, colder despite the heat. We stood in the kitchen, the biscuits untouched. We need to stop this, she said finally, voice cracking. Whatever this is, there is nothing between us, but people say there is. They do not believe that. I leaned against the counter, got twisting. I do not care what they say. I am not afraid of the talk. But I am, she shot back, eyes welling. For you, you are young, Callum. Your whole life is ahead. Do not let me drag you into this mess, being labeled as some opportunist lad chasing an older woman. The words hit like a punch. Is that what you think I am? A rotter? No, she said quickly, stepping closer, but stopping short. But that is what they will make you, and I cannot watch that happen. I stared at the floor, the weight of it all crashing down. So we just pretend nothing happened, ignore the fact that night meant something. She turned away, shoulders slumping. It has to be this way for both our sakes. The door clicked shut behind me as I left, the sound echoing like a finality. I made it halfway down the hall before my legs gave out. I slid down the wall, sitting on the cold floor, tears burning hot trails down my face for the first time in years. Silent sobs, the kind that hurt deep in your chest. Their words, the judgments, the sneers were not just noise anymore. They were killing whatever fragile thing had started between us, slicing it apart before it could breathe. And in that moment, alone in the dim corridor, I wondered if we would ever find a way back. The news hit like a freight train derailing in my chest. It was a grey and unforgiving morning outside my window when my phone buzzed with a call from home. My sister's voice on the other end, tight and urgent. Callum, Mum is in the hospital. She collapsed last night. Doctors think it is her heart from the stress of the treatments. You need to come. My world tilted. I mumbled something about getting there soon, hung up, and stared at the wall. The internship, screw it. I emailed my boss a vague excuse about a family emergency, grabbed my keys, and bolted. But as I rushed down the stairs, my mind splintered. Mum, the bills, the distance, and then, unbidden, Isla. The silence between us had stretched into weeks now, a gaping void filled with unspoken regret. How could I face this alone? By afternoon, I was back in the building, pacing the lobby like a caged animal, waiting for a ride share to the airport. My flight was booked for the overnight journey, but time crawled. That is when I heard the commotion, a sharp cry, the clatter of heels on tile. I turned just in time to see Isla at the entrance, slipping on the wet floor from the lingering rain. Her high heels snapped and she went down hard, backs scattering, a gasp escaping her lips as she hit the ground. People froze, neighbors milling about, a delivery guy, the doorman. They looked, but no one moved. Whispers started. Oh, look at that clumsy much. But underneath the judgment I had come to know too well, I did not think. I ran. Isla! I dropped to my knees beside her, heart slamming, her ankle twisted awkwardly, pain etching her face. Are you all right? Does it hurt badly? She winced, trying to sit up. I think it is sprained. Damn shoes. There tears welled in her eyes, not just from the fall, but from everything, the isolation, the stares. I helped her up gently, my arm around her waist for support. Lean on me, we need to get eyes on that. That is when the snide voice cut through. Mrs. Hargrove, arms crossed, smirking from the sidelines. Oh, please, acting all chivalrous now. We know what this is. Another scene from your little romance. Young bloke like you preying on a vulnerable woman. Disgusting. The lobby went dead silent, heads turned, phones half raised like they were ready to capture the drama. Rage boiled up in me, hot and unfiltered. For weeks I had ducked, hidden, let their words chip away at us. But seeing Isla like this, hurt, humiliated, alone in a crowd, it snapped something. I stood facing Mrs. Hargrove and the gawkers, my voice steady for the first time. We are not acting and we are not doing anything wrong. One night during a blackout, she let me wait out the storm in her place. We talked. That is it. No affair, no scandal. But you have turned kindness into dirt. A neighbor helping a neighbor. That is a crime now. The doorman shifted uncomfortably. A few people looked away. Mrs. Hargrove huffed. Oh, come on. We have seen the photos, the whispers, lad your age sneaking out at dawn. Spare us the innocence act. I stepped forward, adrenaline surging. Photos, whispers, that is your proof. Fine. Judge me, call me a lad or whatever makes you feel superior. But have any of you ever been truly alone, stuck in a storm, no one to turn to? If you have not felt that loneliness, go ahead, keep judging, but do not pretend you are better. We are just two people who needed a friend that night. If that is a sin, then yeah, guilty. The silence was thick, oppressive. Someone coughed. Miss Hargrove's smirk faltered, and she muttered something about kids these days before shuffling off. The delivery guy finally moved, picking up Isla's bags. The doorman offered need help getting upstairs. But Isla, still leaning on me, shook her head. Tears streamed down her face now, not from pain, but release. She gripped my hand tight right there in front of everyone. No hiding. Callum, she whispered, voice breaking. Thank you. We hobbled to the lift together, the lobby emptying awkwardly behind us. Inside, doors closed. She turned to me, eyes searching mine. You did not have to do that. I did, I said, squeezing her hand. For you, for us, whatever us is. The ride up felt eternal, but for the first time the weight lifted a fraction. Her flat door clicked open, and I helped her to the sofa, propping her foot with pillows, fetching ice from the freezer. This might swell, I said, wrapping it gently. You should see a doctor. She nodded, but her gaze stayed on me. Callum, the rumors, they will get worse now. Let them. I sat beside her, closer than before. I have been hiding too long. Mum is in the hospital, got the call today, and it put things in perspective. Life is too short for their nonsense. If they want to talk, fine, but I am not turning my back on you. She reached out, her fingers tracing mine. I am scared, but not as much with you here. We sat like that, hands linked, the city humming below, the pressure from outside, the jobs, the stares, the labels did not vanish. If anything, it ramped up. More texts from concerned neighbors. A passive aggressive note slipped under my door. At work, my boss pulled me aside. Heard some chatter about you and a resident. Keep personal stuff out of the office. But that moment in the lobby, it changed us, gave us armor. We were not hiding anymore. We were facing it together. And in her eyes, I saw the spark, the one from that stormy night, flicker back to life. For the first time, we had the strength to admit what we had felt all along. We did not make any grand declarations after that lobby showdown, no dramatic speeches to the neighbors, no social media posts defending ourselves. Indeed, we did not even label what we were. It just started. Small things, the kind that build quietly, like bricks in a wall you do not notice until it is standing tall. The next morning I texted her, coffee downstairs, my treat. She replied almost immediately, sure. And there we were in the building's dingy cafe corner, sipping black brew under fluorescent lights, ignoring the occasional side eye from passers by. At first it was tentative. We would chat about safe stuff, work, the weather, her daughter's latest university drama. But soon the barriers crumbled. Evenings turned into shared walks around the block. Rain or shine, I would send a quick home yet when her shifts ran late, and she would reply with a simple almost there. It was not romance in the movies, no flowers or candlelit dinners. It was real. Me showing up with takeout after her long days, her leaving a spare key under the mat when I mentioned mom's hospital updates, stressing me out. The rumors did not vanish overnight. Oh, they simmered. Mrs. Hargrove still shot dirty looks in the lift, and the group chat probably lit up with fresh speculation. At work, my boss gave me the side eye during a review. Focus on your designs, Callum. Distractions are not helping your probation. Isla faced it too. Subtle digs from clients, a co-worker jokingly asking if she was robbing the cradle, but we did not fight back. We did not need to. Staying, that was our quiet rebellion, not against them, but for us, for not abandoning each other when it would have been easier to run. One night, about a month in, the rain came back fierce, echoing that first storm. We were in her flat, thunder rumbling outside like an old grudge. She was curled on the sofa, foot still bandaged from the fall, reading a book while I sketched on my tablet. The power flickered but held. She set the book down, eyes distant. Callum, if that night I had not invited you up, I looked up, setting my pencil aside. Then I would have knocked anyway or waited in the lobby till you were safe, storm or no storm. She laughed softly, but tears slipped down her cheeks, happy ones mixed with the weight of it all. You are braver than I gave you credit for. I moved closer, taking her hand. And you are stronger than anyone knows. Do not cry. She wiped her eyes, smiling through it. So, do not leave, okay? Was not planning on it, I said, pulling her into a gentle hug. We stayed like that, the rain a steady drum against the window, her head on my shoulder. It was not passion fueled. It was comfort, the kind that heals cracks you did not know were there. Mum got out of the hospital a week later. Stable but fragile. I flew home for a few days and Isla texted every night. How is she? Take care of yourself too. When I returned, she was waiting with homemade soup, the kind that warms you from the inside out. We ate in silence at first, then talked about her Ex's ghost fading, my fears of failing mum, the city's relentless grind, no more hiding behind small talk. The building adjusted in its way. Some neighbors thawed. The doorman nodded approvingly one day, a quiet ally. Others clung to their judgments, but their words lost power. We were not proving anything to them. We were building for us. Weekends became ours. Park benches in Hyde Park, her teaching me to cook pasta that did not taste like cardboard, me showing her my designs over late night wine. London stayed cold that winter, winds howling through the streets, snow blanketing the chaos. But in those moments with her, it did not touch us. We would stand by the window, watching flurries dance, her hand in mine. No more sleeping alone through storms, no more wondering if kindness was a mistake. We were just Callum and Isla, two people who had found each other in the dark and chosen to stay in the light, and that was enough, more than enough. When the storm forced Callum and Isla under the same roof, the real tempest brewed in the hallway, whispers of their neighbors. Yet, through every sideways glance and spiteful rumor, they learnt a truth we often forget. Compassion is courageous and judgment is cheap. Real strength isn't found in grand gestures but in the quiet decision to stand by someone when gossip could make you run the other way. Callum's steady hand on Isla's shoulder and Isla's unwavering faith in a young stranger remind us that kindness isn't naive, it's radical. It defies the easy narrative, silences the cynics, and builds a refuge where two bruised souls can breathe. So, next time life drenches you in doubt or derision, choose empathy over indifference. You might just salvage a friendship, a future, or even a fragmented heart. Let their story urge you to look beyond labels, trust the goodness you see, and defend it when the crowd sneers. Because the measure of our character is not what we whisper behind closed doors, but what we are brave enough to say out loud when it matters. Did this lesson strike a chord? Drop your thoughts below and share your own moments of unexpected courage. And if you'd like more stories that stir the heart, hit subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss what's next. Together, let's keep the conversation and the kindness flowing.